So in the time it takes most people to, get over a
Or like just take a long weekend.
Right, exactly. In that incredibly short window, the CEO of the most powerful artificial intelligence company in the world was fired by his own board, sparked this massive employee revolt, triggered a global tech panic, and then just calmly took his job back.
Yeah, which is wild.
It is. And I mean, that was really just the warm-up act, because over the next couple years, he gets personally sued by a state government, dragged into federal court by his billionaire co-founder, and just, faces this absolute tidal wave of public scrutiny.
And yet through all of that, the company doesn't just survive.
No.
It thrives. I mean, it defies basic corporate gravity.
Yeah.
Usually, if you have even a fraction of that kind of chaos, investors are running for the exits, right? The product roadmap just shatters. But here, the valuation just keeps multiplying.
It's crazy. Welcome to the deep dive, everyone. Look, if you are listening to this, you almost certainly use these tools, right? You'd interact with the guardrails, you see the headlines, and you definitely know the name. Sam Altman and his company, OpenAI.
Yeah, it's inescapable at this point.
Completely inescapable. So today our mission is to sort of cut through the mythology. We've got this curated stack of court documents, historical facts, recent notes, and we're going to extract 5 crucial lessons.
3 failures and 2 pretty massive wins.
Exactly. We want to understand what it actually costs to survive at the absolute dead center of the AI race. Okay, let's unpack this.
Well, to start, we really have to recognize that this isn't just, a profile of tough tech CEO. It's really this fascinating case study on the massive gap between what a system can do in a sterile lab and what happens when you plug that exact same system into the open internet.
Right, for like 1/10 of the human population.
Exactly. The shockwaves we're talking about today, that's the friction of that deployment.
Yeah. And to understand how OpenAI got to this massive, and let's be honest, controversial scale, we can't start with the product itself.
No, you have to look internally first.
Right. We have to go back to the boardroom. Specifically, November 2023, which is when the foundation almost completely cracked. Everyone knows the headline, the board fired Sam Altman. But the mechanics of how that actually happened are wild.
Yeah, because the governance structure at OpenAI was this massive anomaly. The board that ousted him wasn't a traditional corporate board.
Right. They weren't repping Microsoft's billions.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
They were the board of a nonprofit entity. Their legal charter wasn't to maximize shareholder value. It was literally to ensure that artificial general intelligence benefits all of humanity.
Which is a heavy charter.
Very heavy. And that specific structural design gave just a handful of people with zero financial stake, by the way, the absolute authority to fire the CEO of one of the most valuable tech companies on the planet.
And they didn't do it quietly either. I mean, they put out this public statement saying he wasn't, and I'm quoting here, consistently candid in his communications.
Yeah, that phrase did a lot of damage.
It really did. The fallout was instant. Microsoft's CEO, Satya Nadella, was reportedly furious. The OpenAI president resigns in protest. Employees are threatening to walk. But, I want to push back on this a little bit.
Okay, go for it.
Because 5 days later, Altman is reinstated. He gets his job back. And the board members who challenged him are mostly shown the door. They get replaced. So isn't this actually a massive win?
How do you mean?
Well, it's like a corporate immune response, right?
Yeah.
The system tried to reject him, realized it would literally die without him, and so it adapted to protect him instead. He proved he was the vital organ.
What's fascinating here is that you're conflating technical indispensability with actual institutional trust.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I mean, proving you're the vital organ doesn't repair the credibility damage. Winning that brutal power struggle just proves you have leverage, doesn't prove you have integrity. The board raised a very public, very damaging question. Can we actually believe what this guy tells us?
But doesn't looking ruthless, make investors trust him more in Silicon Valley? Like, hey, I survived a coup, I can deliver returns.
To a certain type of VC, sure. But it alienates the broader global ecosystem. When the people inside the house, the ones tasked with keeping this tech safe, say, hey, we caught you hiding things, that leaves a permanent scar. Surviving a trust crisis is not the same as solving it.
Right.
And that lingering skepticism completely altered how every external regulator viewed the company from that day forward.
Yeah, that makes sense. The internal failure to contain that trust issue basically guaranteed it would spill over. If the board doesn't trust the CEO, it's a giant flashing neon sign for government regulators to step in.
It's inevitable. The guardrails of the nonprofit failed, so the legal guardrails activated.
Okay, so before we get into this next phase, I need to establish some ground rules for you, the listener. We are talking about an active, highly sensitive legal situation here.
Extremely sensitive.
Yeah. So we are strictly imparting the facts of the lawsuit as they exist in the public record. We are absolutely not taking any sides on the claims from the state or from OpenAI. We're just looking at the mechanics of the allegations.
Right, and that impartiality is so important because the stakes here are deeply human. In June 2026, Florida's Attorney General became the very first state official to sue OpenAI.
And they sued Sam Altman personally, right?
Yes, alongside the company. The core allegation is that they prioritized rapid profit over necessary safety measures. Specifically, a lack of effective age verification and parental controls for kids using ChatGPT.
And the anchor of this whole suit is just incredibly tragic. It's a wrongful death case tied to a teenager who allegedly received harmful guidance from the chatbot. Florida is seeking what could be billions in damages.
It's the absolute worst-case scenario of that friction between rapid tech growth and societal safeguards.
Our research notes had this great analogy that I think frames it perfectly. It's like environmental science.
Oh, the lab compound thing.
Yeah. Like imagine a scientist synthesizes a novel chemical compound as a sterile lab. It works perfectly. But then you dump that same compound into a messy real-world environment like millions of unpredictable kids on the open internet, and the variables just completely overwhelm the original design.
Right. You can't control it anymore.
Exactly. So my question is, if you're shipping something to hundreds of millions of people, is it even possible to mature your safety systems fast enough?
From an engineering standpoint, no, it's really not.
Oh.
Especially when the system actively learns from user input. This lawsuit is basically the regulatory system desperately trying to catch up to a deployment that just completely outran its own safety testing.
Yeah.
When you move from the lab to the whole world that fast, you're borrowing against the future.
You get the hype and the valuation, but the bill comes due.
Exactly. And the bill comes due in court. And honestly, this affects you, the listener, too. When you get a canned response from ChatGPT saying it can't fulfill your prompt, you're interacting with a guardrail built because of this exact legal pressure.
Because state attorneys general are threatening massive liabilities.
Right. Your beta testing is happening in public, with real lives at stake.
Which is terrifying. And the pressure on Altman during all this must have been just crushing, because while he's fighting a state government about the future and safety of the product, he's also being forced to defend the past.
Yes, defending the very founding of the company.
Right. Against someone who helped him build it. The public trial.
Oh.
Elon Musk, who famously bankrolled OpenAI back in 2015 as a pure nonprofit, actually sues Altman and the company.
And his central claim was incredibly damaging. He basically accused Altman of stealing a charity.
Stealing a charity.
Yeah. Musk argued that Altman took this idealistic nonprofit meant to protect humanity and methodically turned it into a massive profit-driven business.
Wait, how do you even do that legally? Just flip a switch and turn a nonprofit into a business?
No, it's super complicated. What they did was create a capped profit subsidiary that was technically still governed by the original nonprofit board.
Right, which allowed them to take billions from Microsoft to pay for all that computing power.
Exactly. But Musk's lawsuit attacked that specific maneuver, saying it violated their original founding agreement. And this didn't just quietly settle out of court.
No, it went to an 11-day federal jury trial in Oakland in May 2026. And a trial like that is basically a forensic audit of a company's soul. Years of highly sensitive private emails, internal arguments, raw testimony, all just aired out for a jury and the entire global press.
But we have to look at the verdict, because the mechanics of how OpenAI won are crucial. The jury deliberated for less than 2 hours.
After 11 days of testimony.
Right. And they unanimously ruled against Musk. But, and this is key, they didn't rule against him on the philosophical question of betraying AI for profit. They ruled against him on the statute of limitations.
Wait, so the calendar beat him. Explain that.
Basically, the law puts a strict expiration date on when you can sue for a breach of contract. The jury decided that Musk knew or should have known about the capped profit transition years ago.
Oh, because he was busy building his own AI company, XAI.
Probably. He just waited too long to file.
Mm-hmm.
So the jury looked at the timeline, saw the window had closed, and threw it out.
And that wasn't even his only loss, right? Around that same time, OpenAI also beat a separate trade secret lawsuit from Musk's XAI.
Yes, and that one was dismissed with prejudice.
Which is a judicial sledgehammer. It means you can literally never refile the case. OpenAI's lawyers called the whole thing a hypocritical attempt to sabotage a competitor.
So strictly looking at the legal scoreboard, it's a massive sweeping victory for OpenAI. They played the rules of civil procedure perfectly.
Here's where it gets really interesting for me. He beats a billionaire with unlimited legal funds, beats him in under 2 hours, gets another case permanently banned. By any objective metric, that is a masterclass in institutional defense. So how is this a failure?
This raises an important question, right? Because winning a legal battle is not the same as winning a narrative battle.
Okay.
Yes, having meticulous paperwork and great lawyers is a massive advantage. But winning on a technicality doesn't erase the damage of having all your unfiltered, ruthless decision-making dragged into the light.
Right. All those private emails were still released. The public read them.
Exactly. The pristine, benevolent narrative of a pure research lab was totally shattered. People saw how aggressively they consolidated power and funding. When your product needs global trust, especially when people are scared it's going to take their jobs, every hit to your motivation really matters. You won the lawsuit, but you lost the mystique.
The stains on the shirt don't just magically wash out because you won on a technicality.
Right.
So when you stack all this up, a CEO fired for dishonesty, a billion-dollar state lawsuit over child safety, an ugly federal trial exposing private emails, by all traditional business logic, this company should be in a total tailspin.
Investors should be freezing capital. Users should be fleeing.
Absolutely, but the market just completely ignores it.
Yeah.
Which is the craziest paradox of this whole story. Through all of this, OpenAI's valuation didn't just hold steady, it exploded. By the time of that Musk trial in 2026, they hit an $852 billion valuation.
It's staggering.
And they're gearing up for a massive public offering. Roughly 10% of the entire world now uses their systems regularly. And, Altman has survived this stuff before he got pushed out of Y Combinator years ago and just bounced back stronger. So what does this all mean? How does the market justify almost $1 trillion when the company is actively fighting its own state government over safety?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it comes down to utility completely overriding institutional friction.
Yeah.
When a tool fundamentally changes how you write code, draft emails, and do research, it stops being just software. It becomes foundational infrastructure.
It becomes the power company.
Exactly. Think about it. Investors aren't valuing the company based on how much they like the CEO or how peaceful the board is. They're looking at the fact that if you turn OpenAI off tomorrow, 10% of the global economy basically goes dark.
Wow. Businesses halt. Developers can't code.
Right. It's almost a hostage situation for the market. If the electricity is flowing, people honestly do not care if the power company's board is suing each other. They just need the lights on.
But doesn't an $852 billion valuation change the level of scrutiny?
Oh, absolutely. That's the terrifying flip side of unstoppable scale. That valuation is exactly why they face such intense pressure. When you reach 1 in 10 human beings, you aren't a scrappy startup anymore. You're global infrastructure. Regulators can't ignore you. Because at that scale, a safety failure doesn't just crash a server, it ruins millions of lives.
The stakes just scale right along with the mass adoption.
The larger the footprint, the heavier the gravity.
Right. So looking at the whole journey today, we've seen 3 massive failures. A board's broken trust, a state lawsuit over the tragic realities of safety, and a super messy public trial. But we've also seen 2 huge wins crushing Musk in court twice and scaling to an $852 billion valuation despite the chaos. It really is proof that massive daily utility can just bulldoze through institutional turbulence.
It's a masterclass in leveraging indispensability. But, it leaves us with a pretty unsettling reality about the systems we use every day. We've talked so much about this gap between technical capability and safe deployment.
The friction of the real world.
Yeah. So I want to leave you, the listener, with a final thought to really mull over. As you watch AI evolve and embed itself in your work and your life, ask yourself, when a single company's innovation outpaces society's ability to regulate it, who ultimately bears the responsibility for building trust? Is it the engineers rushing to ship code? Is it the courts using centuries-old laws? Or is it us as the users who just implicitly accept the risk every time we hit enter on a prompt?
It's a heavy question. Next time you log in to use one of these tools, just remember the boardroom coup, the lawsuits, and the CEO who proved he was the vital organ of the machine. Are we just adapting to the whiplash, or do we have the leverage to demand safer systems? Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Keep questioning the infrastructure you rely on, and we'll see you on the next one.